Hello, everybody. Thank you and welcome to the first stream I've done for Dota. Unlike a lot of the other streams that are done by professionals and 8K MMR players that leave a lot of information out because they assume you already know it, I'm a 1500 MMR player. I've been playing Dota now for about 4 months. And not only do I know some of the things you need to know, more importantly, I know a lot of the things that you don't know and should know. So I'm going to tell you a lot of the basics. More advanced players are going to find some of this stuff to be pretty rudimentary. But if you're a newer player to Dota or someone who wants to improve your MMR and get out of the lower ends of Dota quickly, this information will definitely help you. What you're also going to find out is that even if you're a much better player than your current MMR, you'll still get stuck at the low end for a much longer time because you're stuck with players who are so terrible and don't understand even the basics of the game. That's why there are people who are probably 3K or 4K players stuck at the 1500 to 2000 MMR level. Because if you get into a game with two idiots who just feed or who don't know what any items do, you're not going to win the game by yourself in most cases anyway. Dota is set up as a 5-on-5 battle. You probably know that already. And here you can see a battle in which I'm going to be playing as Underlord. We have a Nyx Assassin, an Outward Devourer, a Crystal Maiden, and a Bloodseeker. The important things to note about our lineup is because we have a Crystal Maiden, we're going to have Magic Aura. Magic Aura is going to give us an additional amount of mana, and that's a global effect as long as Crystal Maiden's alive. That should feed the Outward Devourer quite well, and also the Underlord because we're mana-intensive characters who spam spells, whereas someone like Bloodseeker, who really doesn't use that much mana, won't really benefit that much from Crystal Maiden in particular. On the other side, we've got a Juggernaut who's a very good early and mid-game hero, can scale into the late game, but in this particular case, he's going to be trying to be a mid-game player because they have a Morphling. Morphling is a character that starts off very slowly and then scales quite a bit and can become one of the strongest characters in the entire game if he's given the opportunity to farm and get a bunch of gold and a bunch of experience, in which case, no matter what you do, he can just blow up 5 people by himself. Viper's an interesting character that will almost always play in the mid lane, and so will be up against our Outward Devourer. The interesting with Viper is that Viper gets an ability that breaks passive skills and spells on other characters. In this particular case, there aren't a lot of very useful passives. Underlord has one very useful passive which mitigates the base damage of enemy heroes. So if he were to splash his acid on the ground under the Underlord, that passive would get turned off. But most of the other heroes that we have aren't using passives, they're using actual skills. Lion is a good disabler. He gets two different disables. He gets a hex, which cannot be purged. That's very important because no matter what you do, once you've been hexed, you'll remain hexed for the duration of the spell. That becomes a 3 or 4 second disable, which is very useful, but only on a single target. He also gets a straight line disable similar to the one that Nyx Assassin gets, which is useful as a disable mostly early in the game. And later in the game, he can become a heavy damage doer because his R, his main unique skill, is Finger of Death, which can do upwards of 300 points of damage, and if he gets an Aghanim Scepter, he can expand that skill to make it AoE instead. Zeus is the final character in the game. Normally he would be a mid laner, but because they have a Viper, he'll almost definitely not be. And what he'll do instead is harass in the other lanes and try to bring down the health of the characters in the other lanes so that his main carries, being the Viper, Morphling, and Juggernaut, can win their lanes versus the carries on the dire side. An interesting thing with Zeus, there's two very interesting things. One is he gets a global ability which does damage across the entire map. And there's one easy way to mitigate it that low-level players simply don't understand. You can get something called an infused raindrop, which is an item purchasable in the game. It only costs about 200 gold, and it's not available at the start of the game. There's a timer before raindrops become available. Once they do, if you purchase a raindrop, it limits the maximum amount of damage that you can take from any particular skill. So when you've got low health and Zeus tries to hit his R to snipe you from far away on the map, if you have a raindrop, drop, it will greatly mitigate that damage and cause Zeus to do much less damage across the board. If you don't have a raindrop, Zeus will almost always do the most damage in the game because he's constantly spamming this global damage skill, and he will get a bunch of kills simply by allowing that to happen. On the dire side, Bloodseeker has an interesting global skill most players don't understand. No matter where an enemy is on the map, if that enemy has a low health value, meaning they've lost some of their health and not healed up, Bloodseeker gets a massive bonus to his damage and movement speed. So even if you're not in the same lane with Bloodseeker, if you're anywhere else on the map and you have low health, you're empowering that Bloodseeker to ruin the lane for your teammate across the map. It's vitally important when you play against a Bloodseeker that you always heal up as much as possible to avoid empowering the Bloodseeker from his Thirst ability, which is a global passive. On the other side, excuse me, let's start the game. So as you can see, we're all going to be running out to our lanes. Pretty standard stuff. Outworld Devourer sometimes is seen as being a support hero, but I play him as an actual 3-position carry. And what you're going to see here, if we go ahead and pause it, is that I've circled around the map and gone this way. Interesting. It won't let me write on it. Okay. I've gone this way around the map in order to gain position so that I can see the rune spot for the start of the game, and I have a high ground position. Because I'm on high ground, I can see down, but they can't see up. So if we go and change the camera to not show the fog for both sides, what will end up happening is the dire side, second, I think we have to unpause it, yep, cannot see up and do not see that I'm here. I'm actually fogged out. As a result, I get vision of the lion and that there's no one else here yet, and they don't have vision of me. If I was coming across the river and going up the steps, they would have the high ground position, be able to see me coming, and I wouldn't be able to see who's up here. So it's very important if you want to pressure for the opening rune that you walk around the map this way and come to this position, rather than like a dumbass going straight down the steps and up the opposing steps, which is a common mistake by low MMR players. Now we're going to go ahead and unfog the whole map so that we can see where everybody is. And we're going to see that Nyx Assassin is here and OD is here as well. We've taken a strong position to pressure for this rune. We have Morphling coming in to come get it. He turns out to be a pretty good player. And on the other hand, we've got Lion up here seemingly waiting to try to stop anybody who would come across for the rune. Let's see if that happens. Opening horn sounds. I come in and pressure by pushing my Q. Morphling starts to go in, but then notices that his own Lion is AFK. Now, because his Lion is away from the keyboard, not even paying attention to the game, I don't know, maybe he's checking his email, answering the phone, went to go piss, whatever, his Morphling has now taken some damage. His Morphling has been pushed away from the starting rune. The dire side has picked up that rune and is now going to pick up the other rune on this side as well. If we go across the map, we have them pressuring for the rune. However, Dire's already picked up 2 runes without having to have the Outward Devourer at all in the battle. That allows Outward Devourer to head back to the mid lane where he can block his creeps before they get to the river. Meanwhile, Viper has committed, as a mid laner, to helping out with this gank at the top. That's going to give Outward Devourer a very big advantage in the mid lane because he's going to have the creep wave closer to his tower than to the enemy tower. All of that is caused by the simple fact that Lion, being an idiot, wasn't at the game when the game started. As a result, the Dire team gets 3 runes, and the Dire team gets lane control. Radiant does manage to kill the Crystal Maiden, but it's worth not a whole lot, except that it's first blood, so there's a bonus for that, for being the first kill in the game. Here's that lane block we talked about, and as you can see, the lanes meet on the Dire side instead of over here, which is a huge advantage to Outward Devourer because he's now attacking down the river. When he has high ground, Viper has to attack up ground, and Viper has a chance of missing. And you see as he's attacking, he'll miss some of his attempts to hit the target or to harass the enemy. Outward Devourer also steps in and uses his skill. Slower the game sounds. Viper's now starting to attack. They're both equal at level 2, but still, look at the position of the creep waves. Outward Devourer should be denying these creeps, and he is, which allows the lane to stay in that position. Let's go look down below. We've got Underlord, who's still level 1, pressuring. He's already level 2 now, and Morphling's only level 1, because we've been stopping Morphling from getting last hits. Blocking the wave to bring it back away from the tower is an important thing to do as an offlaner. And we have a ward down. Now as Morphling approaches to get a last hit, we deny that. Lion finally does something, but not much. Now we're going to head back up the lane to block the creep wave as best we can and slow it down the lane to make sure it stays here instead of here. Once it gets under the tower, we're not going to be able to last hit at all. Underlord nukes and doesn't nuke the wave, nukes in front of the wave to make Morphling back off. Notice we're not going for last hits. Now we are. We're getting each of them. And now we're going to try to deny creeps to stop Morphling from getting experience from them. Morphling now has to last hit under tower, and for every one that the tower kills instead of Morphling, he'll still get experience, but he won't get any gold whatsoever. And he'll get less experience. We've managed to keep the wave back again. Underlord is now denying and last hitting. Morphling is now going back to stop the creep wave as best he can and to pick up items from his courier. He's missing out on all of this experience and gold as we continue to deny and last hit. That's an entire wave of experience that the Morphling has missed out on. If we go and check net worth, we're going to see that Viper is leading, followed by OD and Underlord, with Morphling, who desperately needs farm, 400 gold behind already. Morphling is doing a pretty good job of last hitting under tower, but he's missed the range creep, which is worth roughly twice what the other creeps are worth. Underlord and Nyx Assassin continue to hold the lane back. Now because we're not being pressured, looks like the lane might push, except Nyx Assassin is making a mistake by trying to attack creeps. What we should be doing is denying this. Here comes another wave. And by nuking, we're holding the Morphling back so he can't easily last hit. He's actually starting to get pressured now, so his health is dropping. And as a result, he's going to have to morph more strength and less agility to stay alive, which makes it harder for him to last hit. So what's going on here is actually an economic battle. We're going to go ahead and pause it for a second. You might think we're trying to kill each other, but if you're playing correctly, you're not trying to kill each other at all. What you're trying to do is win the economic battle and the experience battle. So looking at the bottom lane alone, we can see that the Underlord now has a net worth of 1,833 gold, whereas Morphling is all the way down at 1,187. That's giving a 700 gold advantage. So if you take a look at something like a Soul Ring, the Soul Ring has a cost of like 400 gold. So he's getting an item, an additional item, more than what the Morphling has. The Morphling still just has a magic wand and parts of an item. He doesn't really even have a single item yet, whereas the Underlord already has an item and is well on his way to getting Tranquil Boots in the very near future. On top of that, the Lion has almost as much gold as the Morphling. That's because the Lion's doing a terrible job not forcing the Underlord back, not making it easier for Morphling to get last hits. He's just running around, standing in the lane, and soaking up experience and gold and providing almost no value whatsoever. Meanwhile, the Nyx Assassin has a 1,364 gold amount. So how is that possible if the Underlord's the one doing all the last hitting? Simple. The Nyx Assassin has left the lane, not just sat around, gone and picked up bounty runes as they spawn at 2 minutes and 4 minutes, and gotten additional gold that way. By leaving the lane, and this is very important, he's also allowing the Underlord to get solo experience. What happens when any creep dies, whether you last hit it or not, is the experience that's generated is divided by the number of your teammates that are in the lane. So when this creep dies, whether Morphling last hits it or not, Lion is going to be taking a percentage of that experience for himself. On the one hand, that's going to help Lion gain levels, but on the other hand, it's going to slow the pace at which Morphling gains levels. And as a support, you really don't need to level that quickly, whereas as a main carry for your entire team, you want to get a level advantage as fast as you possibly can. On the other hand, Underlord is already level 4 at this point, and actually about 4.25, whereas Morphling is only 3.5. So it's a significant advantage that's probably going to continue, and if you can get a 2 or a 3 level advantage, it becomes huge in your lane. Let's continue. Underlord now has the ability to hold the lane by himself, and Nyx should probably go somewhere else, but has chosen not to. He's going to come back to the lane and continue to try to pressure the Morphling. Now, it's good if he comes back and actually pressures the Morphling. It's terrible if he just stands there and tries to hit creeps. Let's see what he does. Right now, he's standing there trying to hit creeps, which is taking experience and gold from the Underlord, who's his carry. On the one hand, that'll get Nyx to 6 faster, and Underlord is winning the lane. On the other hand, as you notice, it's pushed the creeps under the tower and made it easier for Morphling to get access to them without being pestered by the Underlord. There's nothing I could do to prevent that. The creep wave is also starting to get dangerously closer and closer to the tower. We want the creep wave to come back up to here if we could. But because Nyx is here, he's not actually helping because he's not doing much. Now he hit the Morphling and did some serious damage to him. That becomes very useful towards pushing the Morphling out of lane. However, Morphling has tremendous regenerative powers, which is why it's so hard to pressure a Morphling. We would be far better off if the Nyx Assassin left the lane and either pressured mid by going after the Viper to help OD, or better yet, went top and pressured the Bloodseeker in order to help the top lane. As we can see up here, Bloodseeker is now pretty much free farming, meaning there's nobody here to contest him. Jug is as well. So ask yourself, as the Nyx Assassin, what am I really doing to help bottom lane? In other words, would Underlord be doing worse if Nyx Assassin wasn't here? At this point, the Underlord's just nuking the creep waves, denying and killing the creeps, and generating a gold lead that's pretty substantial. On the other hand, we can see he's now level 4, and Morphling's level 4, and Lion's level 4. So because the Nyx Assassin is here splitting the experience, it's slowing down the Underlord's experience and allowing the Morphling and the Lion to catch up. By hanging out in a lane where you're winning, you're generally retarding the progress of the player that's winning the lane as a support. You'd be far better off going somewhere like mid and trying to at least scare the Viper off the lane to help the OD farm. Or even better, going top where you're clearly losing the lane with a level 3 Crystal Maiden against a level 4 Juggernaut. We've got a level 5 Bloodseeker, but they've got a level 3 Zeus as well, and the lane is pushing. If Nyx Assassin went up here and took these bounty runes, he would be able to hold back the Zeus quite a bit, whereas down below, the Morphling and Lion aren't even going for the bounty runes. You're better off helping a losing lane than standing around in a winning lane. Once again, Underlord nukes the wave, last hits as best he can, and then starts denying creeps. Now here's an attack on the Underlord, but because he has a level advantage, it's not really much of an attack. The Lion also just threw it at disable and didn't even charge in to do any additional damage. He just kind of left the Morphling out to dry. If we take a look at the map, this area, by pushing Alt, you can always see this in the game, shows you how far the tower will reach. As long as you stay outside that line, the tower can't hit you. So you want to keep the creep wave outside that line.
Dominating.
Again, the Nyx is just standing around at this point. Now you have the Lion wasting mana, hexing the Nyx and doing no damage because Morphling is not even here. Nyx last hitting to steal gold away from what the Underlord would have gotten. And now you have Lion farming instead of Morphling because he had to leave the lane with no health. Right, this is an example of two supports ruining the lane for both of their carries. Nyx is clearly doing a better job than Lion, but he'd be doing a far better job if he just went to another lane. Because then, the Morphling and Lion would continue to split experience two ways, while the Underlord gained a significant level advantage. Underlord now has his boots, so he can heal from his tranquil boots every time they're off cooldown, and he can cast his Q to nuke the wave. And because he has a soul ring, he can convert health to mana. Now that's a particularly good combo, so let's talk about that a little bit. If you're a strength hero in particular, but really any hero it'll work with, having the combination of a soul ring and tranquil boots is enormous. What it allows is your tranquil boots will let you heal up with 13 health regen, plus the health regen from the soul ring of 2, plus any other regen you have. So this Underlord is now getting back 21.7 hit points every second as long as he's not in combat. The moment he gets into combat, either being hit or taking a swing at somebody and hitting them, the tranquil boots will go on a 13-second cooldown and stop healing him. But they'll still work as boots for speed and all the rest of it. The advantage here is that as I walk back up the lane, I'm regaining full health. Once I have full health and come back down the lane, I can use the soul ring to convert some of my health back into mana. I then spend that mana by firestorming the wave, and then as a retreat, regain the health again. So I'm using the health from the boots and the mana regen from the ring together to just manipulate my mana and health bars and keep myself with the right resource at all times. It's an enormously powerful combo, especially if you're a strength hero, because you're also getting 6 strength from the soul ring.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
I can nuke virtually every single wave because I'm doing it this way. If I got mana boots, I'd have infinitely less mana and less health as well. It's a less popular build, but a much better one. Again, the Nyx Assassin is here, taking some of the last hits away from the Underlord, but at least the Underlord is now 6, so he still has some of a lane advantage. Underlord's now pressuring under tower just to get the Morphling away from the last hits. We're trying to deny as many of the last hits as we can. He's still going to get the experience here, but because he's been stunned, he's going to miss the last hit to the tower, so he won't get the gold. Let's take a look at the gold lead now. 3,300 for Underlord and only 1,900 for Morphling. It's now more than 1,000 gold advantage. For that reason, Morphling just barely got a Ring of Aquila. That's his first item. Whereas Underlord has got 2 main items with his Tranquil Boots and also his Soul Ring, and is now getting dangerously close to getting a Meteor Hammer, which will allow him to pressure the tower. The lane has now pushed back severely. Lion has left the lane to go top for who knows what reason, and another carry from the enemy teams decided to come bottom, Juggernaut. You now have Juggernaut and Morphling both splitting experience. Now, that may sound like a good idea to pressure the people who are down here, but is it really? Probably not. Here's the problem. You're going to have your Morphling and your Juggernaut splitting experience, so neither one of them can possibly get anywhere near as much experience as the level 7 Bloodseeker already has, and the level 10 Mid already has. On the flip side, you've got a level 8 Viper who's losing his lane badly. What you needed was for the Lion to rotate and leave the Morphling solo in the bottom lane. If the Morphling was solo, even if he's not getting the most last hits, even if he's not winning the lane, at least he's getting solo experience to keep pace with the other characters, and therefore he'll be able to recover better later on. A high-level Morphling can farm plenty of gold later. A low-level Morphling can't. The Jug is helping to keep him low level, and now he's being pressured out of the lane once again. Jug is not 6, so he really has no kill potential. He needs to be level 6 in order to get his Omni Slash ability. You get your 4th ability at level 6. That would allow him to possibly kill somebody, but without it, he's not going to kill anybody, and he's splitting the experience, so he's not going to be 6 anytime quickly.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Underlord now at level 7, with a 2-level advantage on Jug, and a 1-level advantage on Morphling. Jug's now being pressured and may actually even die. Bloodseeker disconnected, he reconnects and we resume the game. The Nyx went far too deep and really didn't need to. He doesn't kill anybody, and he actually feeds a kill where the experience can be split between the Jug and the Morphling, which is a terrible mistake because now they're both level 6. When they're both level 5, and the Underlord has a 2-level lead, it's moronic to try to make an aggressive play like that going into the jungle under tower. If you succeed, sure, you get a kill, but it's not going to give you a substantially bigger lead. You already have a lead. On the other hand, if you fail, you just allowed both of these characters to get their ultimate abilities at level 6. Now they both have ultis. They can run back and simply heal up at the fountain or go into the jungle or whatever they want to do. And when they return, they're far stronger than they were before. You actually hurt your team quite a bit by going for an over-aggressive play when you're winning. Instead of just thinking about whether or not I might get a kill, you need to be thinking about where you're at in the game. Are you winning or losing? Do you need to be aggressive? What position are you? Are you under the tower, or are you back away from the tower where it's safer to make those kinds of moves? The one bit of good news here is that the Underlord is now alone in the lane, free to farm and deny. So these things are dying to the tower, and there's no one within EXP range to get the experience. So they did miss out on a wave of experience. Again, here's a mini stun. It's actually a root. Where Underlord isn't really using it to try to get a kill, what he's doing is stopping the Morphling from being able to farm. Nyx misplays it and assumes Underlord's going for a kill and runs in to try to attack, putting himself at risk again for no reason. You've got Nyx here trying to play for kills, you've got Underlord just pressuring the lane and trying to last hit. So you've got two players who don't have the same ideas in mind. Now that level 6 ulti that the Juggernaut has gotten has yielded another kill, thanks to a terrible play from the Nyx, and now suddenly the Morphling has caught up to his level 7, and the Underlord's level 7, almost level 8, but he's losing his advantage tremendously. Why? Because the Nyx Assassin has just given away 2 deaths for no reason at all. He didn't need to be in the lane whatsoever, and if he's going to be in the lane, he should be being conservative, trying to deny creeps, trying to pull the lane back, trying to do whatever he can to keep experience and gold away from the Juggernaut and the Morphling. Instead, he's made overly aggressive plays, diving them to try to get kills that he can't possibly get because he's not strong enough to get them. And he's left the Underlord giving back that advantage that the Underlord got by last hitting so effectively. Now they're going to chase, but because the main skill's already been used, Juggernaut has no chance of actually killing the Underlord. Underlord then turns around and goes back to last hitting and farming once again. The Morphling, who's actually their most important player because he scales the best late game, has now had to leave the lane because the Juggernaut is trying to use this lane to gain experience. So again, where they were splitting experience before, now the Juggernaut's taking all of it, and the Morphling is getting nothing. Nyx finally makes a smart play and goes and takes bounty runes. The Juggernaut beats him too. Inexplicably, the Nyx is returning to the bottom lane again, even though he's accomplished nothing and died a couple of times here. Now he's wasting his mana. Underlord misses the lane block, which is crucial because now everything's getting to within tower range, making it harder and harder for the Underlord to last hit. Nyx continues to run in and stun by wasting his mana. He's not even harassing. That's not stopping the Morphling from farming whatsoever. Bloodseeker's now come to the bottom lane. He's level 8. He has actual kill potential, so let's talk about that. Bloodseeker's managed to get phase boots, which make him very, very fast and do some damage. He's already got an Orb of Venom, which slows the enemy every time he hits them. And he has a skill called Rupture. Rupture will cause a character that's been ruptured to take damage for every step they move after they've been ruptured for a duration of 12 seconds. So what it really does is hold the enemy in place, because if the enemy tries to run away, they'll simply bleed to death. If he can make him stand still, the Underlord's damage from his Firestorm, combined with the other damage that the team can do, should be able to get a kill. So it makes a lot of sense for Bloodseeker to come down here. Now it also makes some sense for the Nyx to hang around because he has a disable that he can use in Impale. If he disables them, and we actually manage to team fight, we should be able to easily get a kill on either the Juggernaut or the Morphling, or both. That's instead of having the Nyx Assassin just stand around for no reason with his dick in his hand. Notice what's happened. Bloodseeker has left the lane to go mid and try to gank mid instead. Juggernaut left as well. What did Nyx Assassin do? Stayed and hung out for no reason. He pushed the lane, allowed the Morphling to farm, represented no threat to kill the Morphling, and did absolutely nothing but split the experience that the Underlord would have gotten without him. Underlord's now level 9, Morphling's only level 7. He's about to be level 8, Underlord's 9.5. So a 1.5 level lead, and Underlord has close to 5,000 gold, whereas Morphling only has 3. 1.5 levels and 2,000 gold. Underlord is clearly in command of this lane at the moment. So why would the Nyx Assassin come back down here yet again? This is why standing around in a lane and just occasionally hitting somebody is pointless. You're not actually helping. Interestingly, the Underlord picked up a Meteor Hammer, and what that does is damage over time and a stun to whatever it hits. He's now using that on the tower. So each time the lane comes down now, he's going to nuke the wave, and as soon as the wave dies, he's going to go and Meteor Hammer the tower again in another 4 seconds. This is going to allow the Underlord to take the bottom tower. So, as Underlord continues to take the bottom tower, what's the Nyx Assassin doing to help take the bottom tower? The answer is nothing. Nyx Assassin's now level 6, good for him, but he has literally wasted the entire first 15 minutes of the game. He's accomplished nothing. Matter of fact, he's done damage to his team by dying multiple times to the hero that needs the experience the most. On the other hand, the Underlord immediately teleports away from bottom lane, and in teleporting away from bottom lane, goes to the mid lane. Why would the Underlord do that? By going to the mid lane, Underlord can now start to pressure the mid tower. Notice the build. Underlord has Tranquil Boots to get health back, a Soul Ring to get mana back, and now a Meteor Hammer to attack buildings or wipe creep waves. There's a level 10 Viper now being faced by a 14 OD and a level 9 Underlord. They try to make a play, Underlord stops it by rooting them. OD's able to back out without dying. Underlord moves forward and back just to scare them out of the way so that Underlord doesn't get killed. I'm sorry, the OD doesn't get killed. Now with a fresh creep wave set up, you've got Viper at low health already. Underlord nukes the wave, OD last hits. The wave pushes in onto the tower, and guess what? Underlord gets to meteor hammer the tower again. This now puts the mid tower at serious risk of being knocked down. Once again, let's look at their main carry. Down here on the bottom, we've got Morphling back at the base again because he keeps getting pushed out of lane. Underlord doesn't even have to come up to the high ground, he just nukes the wave. Nyx Assassin shows up, hits his stun, and now with 3 people here, there's an actual chance of getting a kill. They don't get the kill because Morphling is so tanky, but they do get the tower. Juggernaut shows up and gets a return kill, but you're essentially trading an OD for the mid tower, which is perfectly fine. Underlord's now left to defend mid while everyone else is going out to push out the other lanes and prevent them from losing a tower in the other lanes. Now you've got a Juggernaut and a Viper at level 10 and level 11, along with a Lion who's level 11, against an Underlord who's only level 10, but he's managed to get 4 levels into his queue and can just nuke entire creep waves so they can't push against him at all. So let's take a little look at what's going on. When we check out Morphling, who's their main carry, he's level 9 because he was constantly being harassed in lane and wasn't left alone. You've got a level 10 Juggernaut, that's not terrible, but let's take a look. You've got a level 11 Lion. He's level 11 because he got solo experience in a lane. He's actually higher level than any of the carries on his team. That's a terrible waste of experience. Worse than that, what's Lion's gold? 4,396, and all he's managed to acquire is a set of tranquil boots, some wards, and a magic wand. He has absolutely 0 items that are able to give kill potential to anything he does. There's no way he can get a kill. Crystal Maiden, just boots and a stick. Not going to get a kill at all. Juggernaut, boots, and a shield. Also not getting a kill. He's setting up to get a Battle Fury, but that's going to take some more time. Viper, he's got a Ring of Aquila and boots. He might be able to kill somebody weak if he gets onto a support, but he's not killing a carry. Zeus has managed to pick up a bunch of items and is level 9. He's got a Kaya, he's got Arcane Boots. He's their best chance at killing anybody, but he's so squishy he can't go in because he has nobody else to help him. On the flip side, Nyx Assassin has managed to get a bottle, and he's bottled a regen rune. He's also got a Null Talisman, is starting to build some items, and he's got Mana Boots. Take a look at Bloodseeker at level 11. He's got boots, he's got an Orb of Venom, and he's picked up an Echo Saber, giving him quite a lot of kill potential. If he gets close to any of these enemies, he can kill them one-on-one. Underlord went for a building push build rather than a kill push. This is a very slow weapon, so he's not actually going to be able to hit people with it, but he will be able to just push down lanes, knock down towers, and shrink the map, essentially causing the entire Radiant side to be stuck in one little area of the map, whereas Dire has the rest of the map to free farm.